Let's get started. All right, it being 6 p.m., we'll call this meeting of the North Brookfield School Committee to order. If everyone could please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any recognition?
Nothing formal tonight. I do want to say though that we just reached the halfway point of our first quarter. Our reports went out the last week or so. And also just a shout out, I know Mr. Murphy started his Student of the Month. The second one will be coming up shortly, end of this month. And we had our first senior citizen breakfast, which was sponsored by some of our students here tonight. We were able to welcome about 20 plus seniors from the town for a free pancake breakfast, which is a tradition that we started last year. So thank you to Mr. Murphy and to Ms. Barrington and all the students who helped put on that great event.
Excellent. All right. No other recognition?
No.
All right. We have approval of minutes for September 22nd, 2025. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the minutes for September 22nd, 2025, regular meeting.
I will second that.
Do we have any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Right. All right. That was unanimous. All right. Number 4, public participation, public comment. Just real quick, since we do have a big crowd here, we're going to do your standard 2 minutes, just to keep it, so we're not here all night. So if anybody wants to do public comment, now would be the time. Go ahead.
Damien Surratt, Brookfield Teachers Association President. I'm here tonight obviously because I have some severe reservations regarding how the process of the task force went through. I just wanted to be able to say to everyone that I joined this, I was part of the task force, I tried to be. I tried to also be very transparent, all right, because I am not, by no way, shape, or form am I in favor of closing this place down. Still was hoping we could find other resolutions and try to bring them up. I do realize after being here for it's my 27th year that we are in some dire straits. We've been through some ones in the past. But the process, like I said, the issue that one of the issues I have, I don't know how our chair, the school committee, can also chair the task force. I find that to be a bit of a conflict of interest. At the last meeting, we were preparing about the idea of presenting, which I find out it's on the agenda today that there will be a presentation. But as of the last task force meeting, there was still a debate at the end of that meeting, whether it was even going to be presented. Instead, we had basically a debate about semantics regarding, whether a recommendation is an endorsement or not, or can you recommend something without necessarily endorsing it. So what I'm getting at is like in the summer, as you know, we met in the summer. I, of course, have a place where I try to go with my son in the summer, so the meetings were obviously not convenient. I asked the chair for be able to Zoom. Never got invitations for Zoom. That wasn't allowed, so I missed some meetings. And the meetings that I came to, when I tried to voice anything other than just rubber stamp the idea of sending our kids anywhere but here, it wasn't received well. I get told what an objective is. Like I need to be told what an objective is. All right, the idea of just looking at this as far as the information regarding, school tuitioning our children out, my dying day, I will tell you this is not the right decision for the children of this district, nor is it the right decision, obviously, for any of us. So I'm just letting you know I'm hoping and imploring the rest of the school committee that was not part of the task force, please, pay attention to the presentation. Look for the numbers, all right? Because nothing's been real, in my opinion, all right? And that's all I'm asking because I have lost faith in the idea of this task force. I brought up at the last meeting, the idea that talking about, let's look to actually regionalize if we needed to end up getting people all behind it. And I know you're about to call me on time, but I think it's 3 minutes, not 2. And I was just and I'll leave, don't worry, because I'm not gonna stick around. It's a bad feeling. The other thing I wanted to say, you know, I may have been on this task force, but like I said, I found out the presentation was going on because it was on the school committee agenda. The chair, who's also the chair of the task force, I never sent me the numbers, the slideshow, or anything else. Didn't know what this is even about. All right, and then I find out that a couple other task force members.
All of what you're mentioning right here is going to be explained. So
Okay. Are you also going to explain to the task force members that you dismissed at the last meeting and said that their services are no longer needed?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, that's what I
It's a
heard
public
from.
comment, we're not gonna get into a back and forth, as you know, so if you want to
We'll
talk
say that-
afterwards, like.
That'll be next time. That'll be next time.
Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night. All right, any other public comment? Yes.
Margaret Hanson, I am a special ed para here. I have been for 18 years, and I live in town and I'm a taxpayer, so I feel that that is important to say as well. Just a housekeeping question, is this the only time you're going to take comment from the public? Because I have been at meetings before where you have allowed comments as you went down the agenda at different times. So I want to make sure the public here knows that if this is the only time you're going to take comment, that this is the time that they need to speak up if they have something to say. Is
Yes.
that, okay.
That's in the plans, Margaret, and
Okay.
also, just so you're aware, a lot of what he said is not accurate, and we'll go through all of that.
Okay.
So, that he spoke a little prematurely about a lot of things, so if anybody wants to speak after we give a presentation, we can certainly do that, okay? And this is not going to be the only night that this is talked about either.
Okay.
So nothing's been decided, I don't know where he got any of that, but, so,
So I also have just a brief statement.
sure.
I would have been on the task force if I was able to, but for personal and family reasons, I couldn't attend every meeting. I did go to a few meetings, and I was especially interested in the meetings with the numbers, and I only got to go to the presentation with Quabbin. I didn't see the Quabog one. But my deep feeling is that we cannot fully comprehend what it is going to cost us if we tuition out the kids. There's no way to know those costs as they come up, especially in the special ed department. So for it would have, I cannot support tuitioning the kids out, and I just wanted to make that very clear, because I feel that what we have here in North Brookfield is unique, and I think we need to do a better job at promoting that, because there are still kids who come here, who choose to come here, and who do well when they graduate from here. And as far as I'm concerned, that is the measurement of what kind of school this is. Those kids are getting into the colleges that they want to. They're doing activities here that they want to. And I feel like it's something that if we lose it, it just would be a terrible shame, and I wanted to get that on record.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to student representative.
Past information, class elections. On October 1st, we held our class elections for 6th, 8th, 10th, and 12th graders, giving students opportunities to hold class office positions. All grades but 6 were just like fill-ins from the spring we filled in before. Homecoming, on Friday, September 26th, we hosted our homecoming dance. The dance was from 7 to 9 p.m. We had pizza, snacks, and drinks and ice cream. As always, the dance was for 9 through 12 only. We also hosted our annual Homecoming Spirit Week from the 22nd through 26th. Upcoming information, Halloween room decorating. Halloween room decorating will be taking place this week. Grades will be decorating their advisors' classrooms, and impartial teachers will be judging on Friday, 31st, I believe. and the results will be announced on that next Monday. Halloween Hangout. The Halloween Hangout will be on Friday, October 24th from 6 to 8. This is a dance for 6th through 12th graders, and students are encouraged to wear their school-appropriate Halloween costumes. Giving Turkey. Our Giving Turkey is coming up. Each teacher is given a bag that students can put non-perishable food items inside. We're still planning the other specifics, but at the half day before Thanksgiving break, the teacher with the most will wear the turkey costume, and all school committee members can come in and drop cans in whenever you want. Social media, we invite all community members to follow our social media accounts to keep up with all NBHS Student Council events and activities. Our accounts are Instagram at NBStuco, Facebook at NBStuco, TikTok at NB_Stuco. Stuco meetings, all meetings are open to the school and community. Meetings are typically every other Monday in the high school Kiva from 6 to 7:30. Please feel free to join us if you have anything you would like to discuss or just would like to see how things are run. That's all I have for today.
Thank you. Any questions for Noah?
I feel like we should give you a bag, Noah, and then if your bag is the most full, you have to do the next school committee meeting in the turkey costume.
I'll try out the costume if it fits me.
All right. Next thing on the agenda is school committee reports. This is where we're going to give our tuition task force presentation. And I just want to start by saying I wish that Damien would have allowed me to give this presentation and then ask what he wanted to ask or say what he wanted to say, because I think a lot of what he said was actually things I'm going to say. And I wanted to personally say that myself heading this up, the fact that he's questioning anything to me is disheartening. I mean, we have a hard time finding good volunteers in this town, and I'm a taxpayer, I'm a resident, I'm a parent, I'm all the things, and I'm giving up my time to do this and to look into something that was offered to our children to potentially give them more opportunities. No decision has been made. So I wanted to say that first, that I don't know where he got the idea that a decision had been made. This body, the task force was designed with the objective, and he mentioned that he was told what an objective was several times, because our objective was never to finalize an answer, to give an answer, to give a recommendation. We were to gather facts for the school committee to ultimately make a decision on the future of the school with hearing from the community. So this is a piece of the puzzle. There's more to the puzzle that we still have to get. And that's what I'm going to go through in this presentation. I think it'll be pretty clear when I'm done with it what the next steps would be. So again, I'm just very disheartened that a teacher here would take the steps to make that type of public comment. So we have the tuition task force. Tim, if you want to go to the next one. We had 9 members of the task force: myself, Maggie, Damien, high school teacher, Sheila LeBlanc, the town accountant and resident, Mary Beth Kolarski, resident, Bruce Arnold, resident, Deb Arnold, resident, George Nolet, school custodian and resident, and Tanya Matthews, also a resident. Thank you, Tim. All right, why was this task force formed? So, North Brookfield had a joint regionalization committee with Quabog Regional School District to study regionalization since 2021. At that point there, the superintendent, there was a task force of, I think it was 18 members, had decided that regionalization should be the path for this district. So that's why that started being studied. At the end of 2024, there was a final report given to Quabog and North Brookfield. North Brookfield School Committee ultimately voted to move forward with more regionalization talks with Quabog. Quabog Regional School District did not vote to move it forward, so it sort of ended there for them. In January of 2024, Superintendent Duff, so this was a couple months after regionalization was voted down by Quabog, Superintendent Duff from Quabog reached out to North Brookfield School District to present a potential option of a tuition agreement. Fast forward to May of 2025, we decided to develop a task force to try to find out some more information about what tuition would be. And like I said, I mean, this is something very difficult, and obviously there's a lot of opinions on this, and rightfully so. So I appreciate the comments, but I mean, I think we all need to understand that this isn't something anybody's taking lightly. So the objective of the task force was the North Brookfield Tuition Task Force will investigate and gather information regarding the potential and feasibility of tuitioning students out of North Brookfield schools, with a particular focus on North Brookfield Junior Senior High, This task force will be fact-finding in nature and does not bind the district to any course of action. Its purpose is to explore all available options and to help inform the community and guide in the future decision-making process. All right, next, thanks, Tim. So what is a tuition agreement? Essentially, it's a contract between between two districts, a sending district and a receiving district. The amount decided per student would be agreed upon between the two schools, and that's something that we would be looking at hearing about in the future, potentially, between us and the other school, and DESE would have to approve that contract. It's not something that we can just sit here in a vacuum and do. This is different than regionalization, as we would still maintain an autonomous K through 6 district. So we would not have a K through 6 district in a region. We would sustain that K through 6 as our North Brookfield School District. The benefits to the students would be the same as regionalization that we were going for before. Students will have the option still to choose school choice to any other district that accepts school choice students. If North Brookfield were to enter into a tuition agreement, we would no longer operate a junior senior high school. Thank you, Tim. So what did we do in the study? We had meetings from June through October. We discussed with local school districts who might be interested. Ultimately, we heard back from Quabog and Quabbin that they would be interested. We discussed, we also reached out to another district in the state who has been doing this since 1982. Nahant and Swampscott, they currently have a tuition agreement and have continuously since 1982. We discussed tuition agreements with DESE representatives who deal with regionalization and tuition agreements. We reviewed the prior studies that the town has done. One was in 2011, one was started in 2019, went to 2021. And those studies were also started for similar reasons that we're looking at doing this now. And that was starting 15 years ago. We reviewed some student exit surveys that were sent and received over the past several years. We had some members that toured Quabog. We're pending some tour dates from Quabbin. All right, so I talked a little bit about this before, but we had a tuition study in a school district study in 2011. At that point, we had 563 students in the district, 106 school choice out students. That full study is available if anyone wants to look at it. You can email any one of us here on the board, we can get you a PDF copy of it. We also then had the 2021 regionalization study, which recommended the following. The study committee was impressed with programming at Quabog and Quabbin. The study committee learned that there's most likely no financial savings for regionalization, but regionalization will offer our students more opportunities at the same investment. At that time, they said Quabog is more like North Brookfield than Quabbin. Quabbin and North Brookfield then formed a joint study group. All right, this is our current enrollment here in North Brookfield. I think these numbers are important for everybody to know, to look at. Kindergarten, we have 27, first grade 32, second grade 28, third grade 29, fourth 41, fifth grade we have 40 students, sixth grade we have 42, seventh 16 students, 8th grade 26, 9th grade 22, 10th grade 13, 11th grade 18, 12th grade 25. I will say that the new numbers for this school year are being certified by the state right now, so we should have them soon. This is the best we could come up with based on what we know. Our choice out total right now is at 205. We have currently 72 students in Quabog. 40 of those are in grades 7 through 12, 32 are in K through 6. We have 58 at Quabbin. I didn't get as much of a breakdown from them on that yet. I should have it by the end of this month. We have 18 students choicing out to Brookfield Elementary. We have 21 choicing out to Tantascwa. We have 19 going to Spencer, and then there's several with small amounts. So this is just, again, a little bit of an enrollment overview. I went back, 20-something years. This was back when we were talking about building a new school. We had 810 in the district. We had 359, that's as of right now for this year, from what we could gather in K through 12. Current students in the district in 7 through 12 is 119, currently choiced out is 142. And that's just in 7 through 12. So total choice out currently at 205, we're at $1,025,000. And we're taking in 29 students and receiving 145,000. So these are just some of the other districts in the state that do currently operate with a tuition agreement, so where they send their kids to students to another district. A lot of them are small communities, like really small communities, like P-Town, I think was on there. The one that is probably closest to what we are at and was when they did the agreement was probably Nahant and Swampscott. They had over, it was when in 1982 when they started it, they had over 100 or close to 200 that they choiced, that they tuitioned. Now their enrollment's dropping as well, so. All right, Tim, next one. All right, so I just did an overview of this because this is probably the closest comparison. Tuition agreement began in 1982, like I said, because they had started having some low enrollment and some funding issues. They still currently have that same agreement. Not identical agreement, it gets renewed every 3 to 5 years depending on their contract time. We talked to both superintendents of both schools. They've had a continuous relationship since then. You know, nothing alarming coming up for issues. They work well together. They share a lot of administrative assistant level type staff. So Nahant has maintained their own K through 6 district since that date. All right, so a question that came up a lot was, well, hey, if we don't have a junior senior high in town, our property values are going to tank. I mean, I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know how you quantify that, but there's a lot of schools or a lot of towns around here who don't have their own junior senior high. That's not abnormal at all. These are just some of them: Brookfield, West Brookfield, Oakham, New Braintree, East Brookfield, Brimfield, Hardwick, Paxton, Wales, Holland, and Charlton. All right, so these are some of the other, so these are the districts in the state in order of lowest enrollment up with a full K through 12 district. So there's a lot of schools that have just like a K through 6 charter school, but these are all K through 12 public schools. Hatfield's the lowest at 310, we're the second smallest at 397, Hadley at 518, Southern Berkshire at 609, Rockport 631, so it starts getting up there. If you look up, you know, any of those districts, they all have similar financial challenges to us and are looking at different options going towards the future. All right, so Quabog and Quabbin. So I didn't do a full breakdown of all their courses because it's a lot, and I didn't want to. They can come present to us later potentially, as we're going to talk in a minute. But both districts, compared to what we have, they offer additional AP courses, additional electives, additional athletics, and extracurricular activities that we just simply can't provide because of our funding situation. Quabog is the smaller of the two districts with 2 towns. They average 75 to 110 per grade in 7 through 12. I shouldn't say average, but that's the range. Quabbin is the bigger of the 2 districts with 5 towns going there. They're at anywhere from 108 to 166 in student enrollment, 7 through 12. Like I said, full course catalogs are available, and we can bring them in to talk about their specifics. All right. So financials. So this is 100% where I agreed with what the teacher that made the public comment said. We don't have all the answers. We don't have all the numbers, and we need to get proposals in order to get that information. That's why we had goals of when we'd come back to the school committee, and I felt it was more important for this board, who's going to be making the decision, to hear from those other districts and to get the financial proposals so we can put the pieces together and see if it fits. So the annual estimated cost savings if we didn't have a junior senior high building to operate, if you look at staff building, it's somewhere around 2.8 million, and we would need to ultimately work with the central office to get more ironed in, like real details. But this is the best we could come up with, which I think is fairly accurate. So the other issue would be, we have a maximum projected one-time cost of unemployment that we'd have to look at. So obviously when you talk about potential teacher layoffs, you talk about the town has to pay unemployment costs. So 1.2 million would be the max we'd have to pay, and that would be in that year. That would be if every position that was laid off took the full unemployment. So we have the projected tuition agreement annual cost. That's something, like I said, we do not have that right now. Additional funding would potentially be available for K through 6 on anything that we don't spend towards this school now not being here. So we get money back to that school to potentially bring back things that have been cut in the past or additional staff. And obviously over time, we could see potential savings in the special education department if those districts are able to offer more special ed than we can, and there'd be less students going for out-of-district placements potentially. We don't know that answer, and that's also what was said, which I agree with. So the other big issue to think about is the school choice rate was set by the state in 1991. So that's, what, 35 years ago, basically. That was supposed to reflect 2/3 of the cost to educate a student per year. There are a lot of districts out there who receive a lot of students who are pushing to get that amount increased, because right now they're only getting $5,000 for student. So that is something we have to keep in mind that could change down the line. Right now, like I said, we're paying just over $1 million to set for our school choice out students. That amount could go up in the future. So that's all I had on that one. Go ahead, Tim. Thank you. So these are just some benefits and some of the things we have to think about, obviously. So as I've said before, North Brookfield students, our children would have access to more, basically. More elective classes, more athletics, more AP classes, more extracurricular activities, and these are things, like I said, I'm not trying to talk down about our school district, it's just the funding, it's just a math issue. Where there's more funding, there's more opportunities. So we would hope that if we did something like this, we'd also reduce choice out among elementary school students, and that's a hope, it's not a guarantee. Because if you have more certainty, the thing we have heard through, it's nothing official, it hasn't come in surveys, but the thing we tend to hear is, well, parents are taking their kids out of elementary school because of uncertainty. If that's true, then we should see more students stay in our K through 6 buildings. Because right now, as you did see, we do have students leaving in the elementary school ages. So Quabog, I know Quabbin is a little bigger, but they both still do, in comparison to other districts, have small class sizes at those schools. Then we would be able to, at some point, repurpose or lease this building potentially. And then another bonus here, which it's a potential bonus like a lot of these things, unlike being a member in a regional school district. So when you're in a regional school district and there's a building improvement plan, every town or district has to put in for that. We would not. We would have our per student tuition cost that is either 3 or 5 years, whatever that would be, and you don't see the charges back to the town for building and improvements or new buildings. The other thing is tuition agreements aren't as complex, and there's a lot more flexibility. So if you get into a regional agreement, it's very hard to get out. This is a little different. You have an amount of time you're in it for. So there's some flexibility there. We would have control over our K through 6 budget, which we wouldn't in a regional school district. That's a bonus of tuition agreement versus regional. Obviously some challenges here. School closure, never easy when we're talking about something like this. I totally understand that. Loss of jobs, and the big thing here that we spent a lot of time talking about is the potential of no voting seat on the school committee of the receiving district. So in a regional district, every town has members for their district on the board in a tuition agreement. That would be something that we'd have to talk about in the contract, whether or not that happens. It traditionally does not happen. So we'd have to look at that. Sorry. So summary here, benefits to the students, access to more classes and electives, more athletics and extracurricular activities, still have a small community feel with many familiar faces, as you saw the numbers of students here that are going to those other schools. North Brookfield School Committee and the Receiving District Committee ultimately would have to enter a tuition agreement and sign a contract. The agreement would need to be finalized and sent to DESI if we were going to do something like this by the end of April for the following school year. There's no town vote required to enter into a tuition agreement. So, last thing here, this group did not make a final recommendation to the school committee, as the task force was not tasked with making a final binding decision or recommendation, but rather to gather information and guide the school district and school committee on its future decisions. We need to see presentations with financial proposals from both districts in order to have a full discussion and make a final determination. All right, next steps. So the thought would be that we could schedule a special meeting to hear from both of those districts so we can put the pieces of this puzzle together to see if it's something we want to advance in conversations on or not. And that would still, again, be an open meeting. Anyone would be able to come, ask questions. And then we would, in hopes of listening to that, discuss it at our next regular meeting, discuss all the information, give everyone some time to digest everything. We may want to think about delegating the negotiation subcommittee, or it could be 2 other people to work on figures with the central office and with the other districts ultimately to get a better financial picture. So we also want to look at discussing options and financial future of the district if we stay a K-12 district as a standalone district. We want to see what that's like going forward, what would be the plan there. So if we vote to move forward with a tuition agreement with a specific district, before it's finalized, there'd be a lot of work to do. It's not limited to, but not limited to transportation, student credits, transfers, union negotiations, and much, much more. We would look to schedule several information meetings for the community with questions and answers. So again, just to reiterate here, I know the first, Damien, when he spoke there, he kind of made the assumption that there was going to be final decisions made without, fully looking at everything. That's categorically false. And for him to suspect or insinuate that there's some sort of, that there's something corrupt going on, to me is, I am here just like everybody else. I want to see what we can do for the best available for our students. If ultimately as a board we vote not to do that, then that's what it is. But I think we should always be talking about what can we do better for our students and not be complacent and be fine with what we have. I don't think that's an option for us anymore. So that's my personal opinion. That's not a task force opinion. I just wanted to reiterate that at the end here. So, thank you. Any questions?
Just a real quick question.
Sure.
Shelley LeClaire, I'm high school special ed teacher. I've been here for 28 years. I have a couple of concerns when I heard that we wouldn't have any, say in students if they tuition out. What happens to our special ed students who go out of district or go where we're sending them, and then this town, not us, the other town, decides that they're going to place them out of district? We, the town of North Brookfield, then has to fund that placement.
Yes.
That is so not fair. It's not fair to the townspeople, and it's not fair to the students either, that we don't have a say, and we may know some of these students. So
Yep.
I just said, just a side note.
No, I appreciate the question, and that's certainly something that we would have to look at. Like that's a big thing to look at. I agree. Yeah.
That's the first thing I wrote on my list, actually, for part of the presentation, just the things we still have to look into.
Right.
My top thing was the impact on the special ed students.
Just, I said, just concerned me, I've been doing it for 28 years.
I have a lot of
I love
questions.
every single one of my students, it doesn't matter, and I hate for them to be sent somewhere that they don't belong.
Right, and like I said, I mean, if this is a direction that the board ultimately votes to go down that road, we would have to ask, those questions would be, I mean, this isn't going to be a one meeting done and we turn the page. There's a lot of things to go through, so, and that's definitely a big one. I appreciate the question, thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none, all right. Anybody, want to have a discussion now, or do we want to, do you have any questions? Anyone on the board?
Well, I have a question.
Sure.
Just because we have these numbers now out here in the public, we have the annual estimated cost savings of $2.8 million. But that is not like, that's not just a savings of 2.8 million. That's what we figure would be deducted, but then we're still waiting for the proposals to find out what the actual cost to send the
100%.
kids out. And then there's other stuff involved as well, like this special ed and things like that. So these are just really like high level numbers that shouldn't be taken as carved in stone, because there's a lot of other figuring that goes into this and a lot of numbers that need to be presented to actually come up with what the real totals are here to have actual discussions about.
Correct, and that's why, there's no formula for going down a path like this or setting up these meetings and task force, so that's what we really want to see the full picture before I wanted to get some numbers on here that we found, but yes, you're right, that the 2.8 million represents this building. It wasn't meant to be like shown as a savings. It's this, strictly this here, so, correct. And then we have some other numbers too, but I thought it was premature before we hear from the other districts, So like we put together what we thought were, operating costs if we had still owned the building and had to keep, because you do have to keep it functional. You can't, just shut the doors and hope for the best. You're still doing things, so. Yep, and that's what I hope that we achieve if we go further into asking more questions. And I just thought that, like I said, there's no playbook on how to do this. It became clear to me through the task force process that, with us not making a recommendation, I felt like we were starting to probably get to the point of maybe getting more information than we needed to get at that point. And I wanted us as a board, to be able to, you guys to be able to hear the numbers directly.
And as a board, I think it's important that, these upcoming meetings that we're talking about are public meetings.
Correct.
As a board.
Yep.
If it turns into something where we need more space, like we got a lot of people here right now, we'll plan ahead for that, and we can make some arrangements for additional people to fit into a meeting. I don't want to feel like we're excluding people from the meeting, so we'll talk to you about that and just make sure
Yeah,
we have
that's fine.
space in the building where we can have full participation.
Excuse me, could we go back just for a moment?
Sure.
My name's Stan Chica. I just started teaching here, math, and just a lovely place. I've been a lot of places. Kids are lovely, and the staff has been wonderful. But my question is, and we'll get to the real question, who's the best basketball player? The reason why I ask this is because you could say, well, the guy who got the most championship rings, the guy who's got the best scoring average. So the question, what's best for our students? Can you define that? Because you said we'll do what's best for our students. I'm not, as a math guy, I like to know my terms. What does it mean to you when you say that?
I don't have an answer for you. What I'm saying is I said most available options. If I said best, to me, I guess best means having access to more. I don't know. I'm not going to be the final say in this. I'm one person of five, so.
But yeah, it's important for me to know. I don't live in town. I was considering living in town. Someone said, you know what, school may close up before next year.
Where did you hear that from?
Someone. So I'm just like, what does it mean to the school committee people? What do you consider? So you're not clear as to how you want to define it, right? How about the rest of you? How do you want to define? So just, because when kids ask me, what does that mean in math? It's very particular. It's very straightforward. It is, it isn't. And if I know what guides you, then I think I'm better able to, when people ask me what's going on, say, well, this is what people feel is sort of what they're aiming for best for the students.
I think part of it, for my answer, is if you look back through those studies that I mentioned, I would reference you to take a look at there's been history here of financial issues. So it's, to me, when you look at that, and we've talked around in circles about potentially doing something more for our kids, so I think we're at that point of where we have to make that decision, because part of it is, when you look at enrollment numbers, you know how the educational funding works, so that's part of where we're, like, when we're as low as we are right now, that's tough.
Yeah,
So I mean, to answer your question, I think we're gonna try to find out some of that by talking to these other districts more and seeing what they have. I mean, I can speak from personal experience on things, but I am one person of 5. I'm a member of a committee, so I mean, it's not.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the tuition method as opposed to regionalization, right? Because we have this discussion now, right, potentially. But if you go to just the tuition thing, there won't be any discussion. Everyone would be like, well, that's just how it is. As opposed to regionalization, which may be, don't know numbers, but if they were the same cost, then I would say it would be better to have that say on what happens to your students. Otherwise, it's like, yeah, you're out of line.
I don't disagree.
Thank you.
Anybody else have an answer to this question?
I mean, I personally can say for me, whenever I think about like what's best for the kids, that I do think that looks very different from each one of us sitting up here. For me, with children who came through here and are still here, when I think of what's best for the kids, it's the kids that are choosing to be here. They're kind of what's foremost in how I'm viewing all these things, how I'm looking at it. The questions I'm writing down that I still want us to find the answers to, it's what's best for the kids that are here. Why do they want to be here? Do they want to stay? Do they want to go out? Like, they can't vote. They didn't vote for us. They can't vote for themselves yet. But I really want to know what did they want? Because we are responsible for them, especially because they can't vote for themselves yet. So, but I agree. I think it's very different for each one of us up here, and that makes it a big challenge that's in front of us.
And the other thing is too, we have an obligation to look towards the future. I mean, it's not just right today. We have an obligation to think about 10 years from now, to 20 years from now. So that's part of what we all have to get. We have to look at numbers and get the answers to questions. So I appreciate the question. I'll have another one for you next time. Anybody else? All right.
Can I just jump on? I'll be quick.
Sure.
Pam Bachelor, I'm a resident in town. I have a senior and a freshman. I am also employed here. I'm an ABA in the high school. Both of my children school choiced out. One went to Quabbin, one went to Quaybon. I gave them choice. They both came to me, Mom, you work at the school. We don't want to be where you work. You know what? I'm all for that. I get it. She lasted 3 months and came back. That was Quabbin. He lasted a year and came back, and that was Quaybon. Everybody has different experiences somewhere else. I mean, I grew up here. We moved when I was in high school, but I would have graduated from here. My mom did, my gram did. My gram worked at the superintendent's office for years. I want what's best for the kids. I don't want my kids to just be a number. I think that's why I've always liked here, and I mean, we got to do what's right for all of them, but where they're not going to be a number. That's big to me. And special ed that's a big one to me too. I have special ed, you know, with my family. It's something that I'm concerned about for next year. When do we, like time-wise, obviously it's got to be done before the next school year. When does this decision have to be made by?
If we were looking at doing something before next school year, we have to have a contract into DESE for approval by the end of April. That's part of why we're doing it this way, as opposed to, it was brought up last year, and it was felt that that would be something totally ridiculous to try to put through very quick. So that's why, again, I'm trying to have this be as open as possible, and with as many people involved as possible. I feel like at some point, no matter how, we could try that all day long. There's going to be some people that are upset about that, but I think we owe it to look into something that's been offered to us. I just think we do. I mean, I don't think we have a way around that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an issue for years. When
Right.
I was a kid, when my mom was a kid, it's gone back and forth, and it pulls back, and it
Right.
goes forth, and it ebbs and flows.
Right, and like you said, I mean, you had a child that went to Quabbin, came back, went to Quabog, and came back. I mean, we could take examinations from all the families in town, and there's different reasons,
Yeah.
and, you know, so it's tricky, it's tough. I mean, it's not some, there's no simple answers to any of this. That's why, you know, that's why we're here talking about it. So I think it's important to talk about it. So, thank you. All right.
Real quick,
Yep.
if you don't mind, I just want to say I appreciate the time that the committee has spent in putting this together. I know it started back in June and we went through the summer. I didn't see it on the next steps. I know we've discussed it.
Yep.
I think that the school district
Yep.
should have an opportunity to kind of highlight some things that are going on. Plus, and again, this is the first time I've seen this presentation as well, some of the numbers that are presented tonight, I can tell you that they're not accurate as of right now. So I just want to make sure that we project and put out the most accurate numbers. For example, school choice in, that number that we're looking at in this presentation is not an accurate number. So I just want to make sure that we have the most accurate numbers.
What was the accurate number?
The number you had in here was 125. I believe the number I gave you, including special increments, is 488. So I don't know.
No, the number of students, you said school choice in.
The number I think you used was 29. Last year we were slightly higher than that. I'm looking at the financial component, which I believe you had 125 as the school choice in. It's much.
No, I had 1,025,000 that we were sending out.
That's out.
Right.
I'm talking about receipt. I'm talking about in. The
Yeah.
number you had was far lower than what it actually is.
I took what you gave me, so I mean, and you said we didn't have this year's yet because they're not certified. So that's what I said during the presentation, was that we'll get the certified numbers and we can update
The
them.
numbers that are not certified right now are the FY26 enrollment.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's what I was referring to as the enrollment numbers. So you're saying the math is wrong on the 29 times 5,000? Or the amount of students is wrong?
Both, because the total number isn't just 29 times 5. There are students that are also special education students that receive more money for those students.
Right, and that wasn't, I wasn't trying to, this was supposed to be, like I said, a very high level overview.
Okay.
You know, so yeah, but anything you have, and that's why I put it in here too, that we need to probably assign someone to work with you in the specs, just so everybody's aware, we really haven't, Mr. McCormick hasn't been a part of this, so we haven't been, like he didn't attend the meetings, there's numbers that we got through websites and different things, and he shared some of the numbers with me. So going forward, that's what I was saying, is that if we work with you directly, we can probably get better numbers.
Thank you.
Just to clarify on that, that 1,025,000 was just based, it was not including any special ed increments either.
Right.
So it kind of goes both ways on our expenses out and our revenue in.
Yeah, and ultimately, I just don't want there to be this notion that I'm trying to like sway numbers. I was working with what I thought we had, so, you know. All right. So do we have, so are we all set on that topic for now? Anybody else? You up here? Tim? You good?
I'm good for now.
Okay.
We got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yep. All right. Next is number 8, financial reports.
So submitting for your review in the packet, the financial statements approved 9/30/25, which if you look at the bottom number and the budget balance, we still have 74.12% of our budget remaining in the general fund, which is slightly over 5.332 million.
We did talk about we did sign a couple transfers. I appreciate you guys doing the transfers on a regular basis, just so we can stay ahead of those. That's very helpful.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions on the financial reports? We don't have a public hearing. Anybody have any questions? What's that? Superintendent's report?
Excuse me, thank you. So, make sure that TV's working in a minute. We have a couple different presentations. I want to start as the committee is aware, and I think most of our families and our teachers are aware, over the last couple of years, we've done a great deal of work looking at our high-quality instructional materials. And in that process, we've identified many areas of growth for our instruction for our students. One of those major areas has been around STEM education. So we partnered with Project Lead the Way and the 1A Foundation a little over 2 years ago to phase in a robust STEM curriculum for our elementary school students, our middle school students, and now our high school students. We've had STEM education in the past. I'm not saying that we never had anything, but this is a more formalized curriculum that we use across all of our grade levels. Additionally, last spring, and as early as recent as this fall, we received additional funding from the state to support our innovative career pathways in advanced manufacturing. So that designation allows our students to take STEM courses from grades 9 through 12 to receive credentials for real wide world experiences for the workforce while graduating with distinction. This is the first year of that program. We're very excited tonight to have some student speakers to talk about their experiences in a very short period of time. We're very lucky tonight to have Mr. McNeil, our STEM teacher, who I may add teaches STEM education across all of our grade levels. He's a singleton in this district. But John has taken it upon himself to receive the training, the credentialing, to be able to do this for our students. And I'm going to have John and our students tonight talk about their experiences and why this is relevant. We know in STEM education we get to work with some very cool objects. We get to build robots, but why? Where does this lead our education for our kids, and what opportunities does this open for our students as a whole group? So without further ado, I want to turn it over to Mr. McNeil, who will introduce the students tonight, who will talk about what they're doing at their various grade levels.
Good evening, everyone. John McNeil. As Mr. McCormick said, thank you for the introduction. The district level STEM teacher here at North Brookfield. I've come from private school, charter school to public school. I've been in education now for about 10 years. And as far as gems of a district, North Brookfield is very unique in the ability to get to know students at an individual level and to truly be able to have a hand in their future and the future of their lives and give them career potential from here. And that's what our STEM programming does. Next slide, please. So the whole goal is building today's innovators through both the programs that they use and then a lot of what they're able to experience here, both in a small district, and then being able to get them out into the world. Some of the things I'm sure Mr. McCormick will talk about in the future will be some of the opportunities that our students here, even at a small district like North Brookfield, are able to achieve out in the world. Next slide, please. So for 6th grade, we have Mikhail to present our design and modeling class. For 8th grade, we have 2 of these 3 presenters. Unfortunately, the third isn't able to make it here tonight to present our robotics class that we do. And then for 9th grade, our 1st grade, kind of our beginning venture on this innovative career pathways. We have Dante to talk about some of what he's been able to learn on the engineering design process. High school rocketry presenter wasn't able to make it here tonight, so I'll speak on that slide once we're there. And then I'll go over some of our next steps and the vision that we have for the future as this pathway builds out. Next slide, please. So without further ado, Mikhail is going to come up, talk about some of what he's built, some of what he learned last year over even at the elementary building, and some of what he's doing this year, both in class and what he does on his own time.
Hello, my name is Mikhail Pitridge, and I'm here to tell you about how STEM is helping me and other students too. STEM is helping me learn about design and modeling. It's giving me a lot of skills in 3D printing. I'm a 3D printed fidgets and dragons and go to Fender Field and sell them on prints and design on a computer and print them out in 3D prints. And the skills I'm learning will also be important in my future to give me job opportunities. For now, some of my 3D prints has already given me enough money to buy a go bike. The STEM program is really fun. Besides 3D printing, I've learned how to use other things like measuring with different instruments, like a dial caliper and stuff. And STEM's teaching me a lot of good skills.
You want to show?
I also make like jackets and stuff and sell them like this. Yeah. And fidgets.
So he started learning those skills in 5th grade last year, and then as this school progresses, he's building on it in 6th grade. Again, young entrepreneur right here, being able to design his own business, make it his own business, make money for himself, and then be able to impact the community around. Even at, how old are you now?
I'm 12.
12 years old, right? So that's the kind of inspiration that we're able to offer here in this section. Thank you very much, guys.
Great job, Mikhail. I just, so this, you have, there are currently 5 3D printers that are accessible for grades, well, elementary school through 12, correct?
Correct, yeah, we have 2 over at the elementary building, and then we have actually 4, one was actually donated as well, so we have a total of 6 in district right now.
And we have an additional, we have some robots that are being donated from another partnership for our elementary school students as well.
Yes, True Robotics recently donated 31 kits that we're going to be implementing over at the 5th grade level to start a robotics program there as well. So it's a lot of good opportunity.
And I know this is the design modeling class, which is our middle school class, which was actually our first Project Lead the Way course back 3 years ago. But I was walking through one of your 5th grade classes a week or 2 ago. And one of the cool things that you're doing with those students is you're teaching them essentially CAD, correct?
Correct. Yeah, so 5th grade right now is learning a little bit about CAD. CAD is computer aided design, so CAD. Computer aided design is the ability to take something from a 3D world, digital, and then be able to either make it through an additive process through 3D printing, additive process, or a reductive process through CNC machining. So you're using a machine to cut away material, right? So some of the items that we're able to do, even at a 5th grade level, is teach these students what it actually is a transferable skill into today's modern world. Not only can it impact 5th graders very much financially in the here and the now, but some of the skill sets that they're learning how to do, understanding geometry, both has a mathematics aspect, understanding how to put something together and communicate that, and then understanding some of those soft skills, the collaboration and teamwork that it takes to put these ideas together. So up next, we're going to have our 8th grade robotics come up. They're going to demonstrate some of what they did. I want to put it to them. Their small team, not only did they build this robot, but they continued their normal coursework as well. So this was something that they built in addition to what they had to do in class, and I'm sure they can talk about how hard my classes can be sometimes. So very much kudos to them for being able to put this together, have it function. So without further ado, Noah and Vincent.
So in our STEM class, we've been learning, specifically robotics, we've been learning a lot of practical applications for some more modern real-world jobs. For example, a lot of factory jobs are done by robots nowadays, and there are delivery drones done by Amazon. And there are overall just a lot of applications of robotics in the real world nowadays. And so you can really get a scope for how it impacts the world, and I guess how you can integrate yourself into some of those jobs, because you can learn problem solving, time management, and overall just the construction of how these things are made. Some of the kits are different from how most robots are built, but overall they can teach the base model of how robotics can be helpful, I suppose.
You guys want to demonstrate your robot real quick?
I was also going to say, this is almost like the careers in robotics and the future of it. It's like, it's a very bright future, and this is almost a head start for us to get a head start in those careers.
Yes, this showcases some basic movement capabilities of different robots.
It's just the basic one we were able to build in around 5 days.
We also have standstill turning.
Good thing they built it tough.
It's gonna happen at some point. Anyway, hopefully our presenter can be a little more careful. Anyway, you can see there are some different specific things that only apply to robotics, like gear trains and motors, and how those can work to build a fully functioning robot. But overall, it teaches a lot of skills that can apply to other jobs as well as robotics. And not specifically just jobs, just schoolwork in general, how you can be more efficient at doing this sort of thing. But it's been very helpful for most of our classmates, I think, and for us. So, yeah, good class.
Good job, guys.
We currently have, I believe, correct my numbers, Mr. McNeil, but we have over 12 VEX robotics kits between the middle and high school students, and we have those kits divided. So the middle school kits stay with middle school students, and the more advanced models stay with high school students. We also have some robotic arms that are being used for the first time this year as well, correct?
Correct, yeah, so in our introduction to engineering later on in the year, we have the programmable robotic arms. So they use kinetic motion. Kinetic is the movement of anything. In regards to our kits that we have, kind of one of my pet projects, rocketry class came about as just a dream project for myself. Next semester, we're going to use the high school kits to hopefully be able to 3D print and manufacture our own drones in district. So that's kind of my vision for next semester, being able to use our high school robotics kits, be able to do something very tangible, very much hip. I don't know if hip is even still a word they use nowadays, but very much in theme with what a lot of the younger generation are looking into and everything.
And you're currently building the rockets with the printers, correct?
Correct, yes. And I'll touch on that more once we get to that. But yeah, up next is going to be Dante talking some about the engineering pathway. Again, this is the first year that we're doing it, so it's very much a transformative year for much of that 9th grade class. But it's a lot of good information, sets a good foundation for them, both in certifications that they can achieve this year and some of the more practical applications in their coursework. So,
you guys have me feeling unprepared. I don't have any cool 3D-printed dragons, any robots. So the advanced manufacturing pathway, its main goal is to have us prepared to immediately enter the workforce straight out of high school. So one of the things that we're actually currently working on in class is making ourselves familiar with CAD through Fusion, which, if we continue to take this class over our next 4 years of high school, we can actually exit high school as a certified Fusion professional with the right amount of hours and certifications throughout this class. So it helps. It can also help us with the technical mastery, so we're developing these advanced skills in mechanical design. Like Mr. McNeil said, later on in the year, we're going to be using those robotic arm kits, and he keeps mentioning in our class something about we're going to be designing automatons for our last design project of the year, which not sure what that's going to look like, but that sounds pretty cool. It will also help with an innovational mindset with ourselves through our baseline engineering, especially this year. This course is required for all freshmen from my class forward, and then we can choose to take it along the next 4 years. And if we continue along, we will gain more certifications, which will help us to enter the workforce straight out of high school. One cool opportunity that we had was 2 weeks ago we went to the Basketball Hall of Fame for the Mass Makes Conference. So we went through 3 different workshops that day. One was about like a business standpoint, where we had to design and create paper airplanes, and they had to be approved by like a client for the design. And one of the things that we were getting really tripped up on was they were being really specific about symmetry, which was really nice to learn that it really has to be very precise. And then the other 2 workshops that we went through were following a robot, where we had to design add-ons to a base model robot that would help us in a warehouse scenario where we had someone controlling the robot and 2 people inside the warehouse being a supervisor and what they were calling a picker, where you would have the driver of the robot bring the robot over to a shelf where you would take one thing from a specific order and place it into your robot and get it back to a packing station. Overall, that day was a great introduction, I think, to what a lot of we're going to learn in this course.
Good job, Dante.
What other credentials can students earn as they progress from grades 9 through 12?
So we're going to be introducing some of the Fusion, some of these 3D programming credentialing systems. It allows a student to be able to graduate almost at a collegiate level user interface with that computer-aided design program. That's one of the key credentialing that they're going to be able to get, along with some of the other more technical aspects with some of the more coding ones later on in the Principles of Engineering. That would be a next year elective class that they would be able to take. That's a pathway that they're going to continue on. So they're both going to get some practical coding experience, some computer-aided design certifications, along with some of the more industry-graded level piece. And one thing that Fusion, a lot of people are like, what is Fusion? We throw that name around a lot. It's actually the same program that Toyota, Harvard, MIT, the tier 1 institutions utilize for their computer-aided design, and that's just one small snapshot of some of the items that they use for it. Up next is going to be the high school rocketry program. This was kind of like a dream project for me to be able to implement in a school. Last year, some of us saw it at the STEAM night. We were able to get some of the students to be able to launch it. We used kinematic equations in order to be able to track the trajectory of a launch point to then a landing point. Kinematic equation is just a fancy word for tracking the overall arc of an object from point A to point B. One of the cool things that we are able to do here because of what we have in district is the fact that we can fabricate all of this ourselves. Prior, one of the ideas that we were kind of floating around in district was actually being able to fabricate our own fuel cells for our own rockets. Something I know our presenter was interested in at the end of last year was being able to reach the 8,000 feet layer, something that no high school in Massachusetts has done. Even though we have in Auburn, Mass, the home of modern rocketry right there, right? So being able to have opportunities like that here in district is something that's very tangible for us to be able to achieve. So again, engineering disciplines as well, scientific skills and professional competencies are encased in this senior level class right now. And allows students, again, it's a smaller class, but it allows us to be able to really hone in on achievements that otherwise wouldn't be doable in a more large scale setting. Again, everything is made in-house on our own 3D printers, and we're fabricating and making these things just now as well. So, any questions that you have about that? All right, next slide then, please. So, road ahead, our advanced manufacturing pathway. We have a few things. By the next 3 years, that freshman class that's taking the Introduction to Engineering will then hit their capstone project. This capstone project is a national level idea that they're going to actually be able to have a lot of discretion in how they accomplish it. They'll be either able to go out and do an internship off campus, or they'll be able to stay in campus and work on their capstone project here. So again, the practical opportunity for a high schooler to go out into the workforce, into an engineering workforce, and be able to have a hands-on component that few districts around here have. I was just today at a overall conference for the state of Massachusetts for the Project Lead the Way curriculum. And even there, the engineering pathway that we have access to here is very limited opportunity in a lot of the larger schools around. The advanced manufacturing pathway allows our students to be able to have that hands-on component that both manufacturers are looking for and that gives our high schoolers actual preparation for. Although the graphics are rather small right there, it does state that less than 50% of employers actually find viable high school graduates right now. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce actually put out a statistic that even more, over 80% of employers say that high schoolers are not even qualified for positions straight out of high school. So this is a very direct connection for us to be able to answer that problem. Our students are going to be certified trained and able to achieve a more than livable wage straight out of high school with this pathway. Something that there's no opportunity for that. I know when I was in high school, that was not even an opportunity on my horizon, being able to do that. But that's something that we will be able to offer here. So, unique pathway forward, but that's again in that 4-year time span. It takes time to get our students trained up for that. How many hours have you spent already on Fusion? Quite a lot, right? Yes. Yeah, so it takes a long time to actually train this because this is, again, professional level certifications. This isn't just a backyard type thing. No, these students are learning tier 1 academic material. So in our timeline there, again, I apologize that the text is small on this TV screen, but the capstone project is going to be by the end of 2028 right now. So a couple years down the road for that. Next slide, please. Again, we're going to have a STEAM night, or a, what did we call it today, Mr. Beck? It was
I have it in my school improvement plan.
yeah, you'll talk about it momentarily. But we're going to have a STEAM night later on. We renamed it just today, so that's why forgive me that it's not on the SIP night time. But it's very much so to get more out into the community, get our students more out there to be able to showcase what they're learning and what they're actually able to accomplish here in Northbrook.
That's the word, John. Showcase.
Showcase, a learning showcase, that was it. So let's get amped. Again, that advanced manufacturing pathway, let's get amped about what's actually happening here in North Brookfield. Thank you very much.
I just want to thank all the students who came here tonight. I appreciate you being able to speak about your experiences. Mr. Neal, obviously very passionate about this topic and the right person for this position. Just want to end with a couple quick important facts about this program in general. All of the materials, the durables, the consumables that we have purchased for this program, and that means the next 4 years, are all purchased through grant funding. So we have been able to provide these opportunities for our kids without tapping into the local budget, which I think is a real plus for our district, for our school, for our community. I think in addition to setting up kids for success in the workforce, we also want students to go to college if that's their choice. So this also prepares them for the engineering field if they decide to go on to pursue that degree collegiately. And last but not least, we talk about equitable access. This program, as Mr. McNeil alluded to, every high school freshman takes both a life science and a STEM class. They then get to choose after freshman year if they want to stay in this pathway or not. But every student is exposed to this their freshman year. And they learn a lot of the basic foundational elements starting in the middle school. So they see this in grades 6, 7, 8. They talk about it in elementary school. So they have a real opportunity to build upon their knowledge base as they transition from grade to grade. So excellent job tonight. Thank you for coming and presenting, and I'm really proud of what you're doing. Thank you.
Jump right in.
Yes.
I don't know if you had something else before then?
All right, shifting gears a little bit. I know you're gonna hear some of these concepts again. I'll try to keep this succinct. In your packets tonight, I gave you 2 versions of my goals. One a little bit longer narrative piece with key actions and benchmarks, and then I added this presentation which streamlines those concepts for your viewing pleasure this evening. So I have 5 goals for the 25-26 school year for your review. And I think the one phrase that you'll hear a couple times during this presentation is continuous improvement. We're constantly looking to build better for our students, to provide our students with more opportunities, and to take a look at what we have and make that better. So that is a constant goal of mine and every educator within these 2 schools. Goal number 1 is classified as a student learning goal, and this is increasing accountability and achievement in ELA and mathematics. As you know, in the last couple of weeks, DESE released district and school report cards for every district and school in the Commonwealth, and we have dug into that information. My hope is to present a more coherent picture of where we're at next month to school committee about our accountability data. But looking at the data right now and working with our building and district leaders, our teacher leaders, we've identified that we need to improve across all grade levels. I think like every district can say the same thing, but targeting most specifically grades 5 and grades 10. Even though MCAS is not a graduation requirement in the Commonwealth, we still want to make sure that our high school sophomores, as they transition to that junior year, which is a very important year for all of our students, that they are either on target or exceeding targets for their MCAS accountability scores. So we're going to be looking at both ELA and math, and we have a very clear plan of how we're going to look at that information and make sure that we are doing our due diligence as educators and holding ourselves accountable for collecting that data. With some of the benchmarks for this first goal, we will develop a district data dashboard for ELA and math. We will continue to review what is going on in our classrooms, what our interim benchmark assessment data is telling us. That's our MAP data. We will look at our observations, focusing on math instruction and reading and writing instruction. And we'll continue to check in and also relay that message out to school committee and to families about where we're at with meeting some of these goals, both the state has set for us and we have set for ourselves internally. Goal number 2, monitoring progress and alignment to the district's strategic plan. If you may recall, we developed this plan or finalized this plan about a year and a half ago. This was a plan that was developed with 25 plus stakeholders from all different groups, so parents, families, teachers, students, community leaders. This working plan, it's a living document. We constantly look at this plan. We highlight this plan in green, yellow, and red to indicate where we're at internally with meeting some of our benchmark goals. And in turn, the 2 building principals developed what are called school improvement plans, or SIPs, to monitor how that strategic plan, which is an overarching document for the whole district, kind of trickles down to the school level. So we will continue to look at where we fall. Are we meeting those, again, those short and long-term goals for ourselves as a district, as schools? And you're going to hear from both Mr. Murphy and Mr. Beck a little bit later tonight about their 25-26 school improvement plans. So again, like goal number 1, I will also share out with the school committee, both in writing and probably a presentation form, where we fall with our strategic plan, what we've accomplished, what we've had to revise, and where we're at within the 2 buildings and the special ed department. Goal 3 is around implementing a district-wide data cycle process. We are currently collaborating with Andrea Ricotta Consulting. Andrea Ricotta was a former DESE worker who we have worked with in the past. She is working first with our leadership team to develop a district-wide data analysis protocol. It's a concept that is not foreign to any one of us in these positions, but we want to make sure that what we talk about at the district level is replicated at the school level, and that every teacher understands this process, understands this common language, and can use this common language in this process to look at data for their student success. So we just started working with Ms. Ricotta. We will continue to work with her through the fall, and then we've already started to implement some of these protocols into our instructional leadership teams within both buildings. I know Mr. Murphy already has a data room that he's developed for the elementary school to look at data at all grade levels and for ELA, math, and science. So again, this is something we'll share out as the year progresses, but this data cycle and making sure it's uniform across the district in both schools, we felt was a real key for making all of these actions and goals attainable. So just, again, speaking around data, and this just kind of gets a little more granular, I'll go through this very quickly, but making sure there's a clear process for all teachers, that we have a leadership team which is very accustomed to it, but also building leaders within the teaching ranks so that they know and they can replicate this in their classroom. And then showing teachers and having teachers be able to look at the instructional impact of going through a data cycle with whether it's MAP data, attendance data, MCAS data, there's data all around us. So taking any piece of data, going through this process and making sure that we are using this data to drive instruction and supports for our kids. Goal 4, professional practice goal for me as your superintendent, engaging in continuous leadership development. I'm currently part of Leading Now, Cohort 13, which is a national group of superintendents, and then the MSSN, which is an inaugural year this year. As I mentioned last month, this is a group of 24 superintendents, 8 per cohort. There's 3 groups that essentially work on a problem practice monthly. We collaborate on issues that are kind of coming at us and how do we work through them. And essentially what the mantra is the answer is in the room. So by working with these 2 groups, working with the leadership team here in the district, I'm always looking to become a better systems thinker, more informed with data-informed decision making, and making sure that as a leadership team we collaborate on our decisions, what's best for our students. And 5, which Mr. McNeil and the students talked about, predominantly Project Lead the Way, but we continue to look at what high-quality instructional materials we want to bring in for our students. Curriculum instruction is the backbone of what we do. If we don't have great instruction, if we don't have strong curriculum, we can't expect our students to achieve at their highest levels without the appropriate supports. Over the last 2.5 years, we've phased in a lot of high-quality instructional materials. We need to continue to look at those products. Are they working for our kids? And if not to the way we want, what are we doing to make them better? Additionally, we want to look at what else can we bring in. And we want more voices in the room. We want to really enable our teacher leaders to give principals, to give directors, give myself feedback on what to do next as far as what high-quality instructional materials we should be looking at. And that takes time and that takes effort on everybody's part. Additionally, we have partnered with Novak Education again this year. A universal design for learning, which I'll go into in a minute here, is a theme that we have embraced as a district. We have 2 instructional coaches that come in from Novak to work with our staff. They'll be back with us in December. And this really speaks to engagement, representation, and expression, making sure that we are removing all obstacles for our student learning, that students have access to curriculum, students can really showcase their knowledge through their preferred learning modality and make sure that we give them an opportunity. And that we also have the appropriate supports in place to support those students who are still struggling. So I think by and large, the feedback that we receive from staff, they've really embraced our work with Novak and UDL. UDL is not a new concept. It's probably had different names over the years, but it's a concept that we want to embrace, we are embracing. We want to make sure that we are fostering a very safe learning environment for all of our students. So measuring success, these 5 goals, and as you can see, some of them are intertwined. But again, our commitment to continuous improvement is 5 strategic goals. We're going to be targeting two grade levels with our MCAS accountability, grades 5 and grade 10. We have currently 7 HQIM programs. We're looking to phase in more strategically, not just to say we have them, but bring those programs in that our kids and our teachers need. But also, even more importantly, look at how well they're working for our students. And then we want to make sure that what we're doing as a district, what we're doing as our 2 standalone schools within the district, are our goals aligned. So what we do at the district level, we're talking about it at the school level, and our parents, our teachers, and our students know what these goals are for their learning. Any questions from the committee?
Thank you for the presentation. We need to make a motion to accept I'll make a motion to accept the superintendent's 2025-2026 goals.
I will second the motion.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. Next up, thank you, Tim. So we're going to go through the administrators' reports.
So, elementary will go first?
You can duel over who goes first.
Sure. Just want to start with our senior citizen breakfast. So on Friday, October 3rd, we hosted our first senior citizen breakfast of the school year. We had selected students from our 4th and 5th grade classes, and they were our wait staff with 2 MBHS students making pancakes on the griddle. The menu also included coffee, bacon, sausage, fresh fruit. We served close to 20 local senior citizens. Hope Brzezinski from the DA's office was also there to present some pertinent information for our senior citizens. A huge thanks to Karen Farrington for putting this together and getting the word out in the community, and we're hoping to grow this each and every time. Our new date is Monday, November 17th. We just finalized that with Karen. She brought in a huge donation of bacon, sausage, all those things already, so we have it on site. I usually try to do some of the cooking the day before. Cooking, baking in our school in the morning would cause a lot of drooling and kids coming in and trying to get some before our seniors had a chance. But it's just a great atmosphere, and I think there's a great opportunity for learning for our kids to interact with our seniors in the community and go up to them, welcome them, ask them questions, and just be a part of that process. It's an amazing morning, and I hope we get more and more each week. So that will be November 17th next time. And then Mr. McCormick also alluded to it a little bit, our ID room. So we created an ID room for our monthly after-school meetings. We just had one today. ID stands for Instruction and Data. Through our professional development opportunity for our district leadership team, we're able to develop protocol for facilitating meetings around data and how that data can be used to reflect on the curriculum instructional decisions that we make. The process has 4 steps. So for me, I'm a visual person, and I live by, if you want work to be done, then do the work yourself. So we made visuals for all the steps. They're up in this room, very large, and up on one of our accordion doors. So I would ask the committee, if you're ever in the elementary school, to check out the ID room. Step 1 removes all factors that we believe might have affected the outcomes. It allows us to focus just on the numbers and see them for what they are. We call it going on the balcony, so you can't interact with the numbers. The numbers are the numbers. It's our Waldorf and Statler board. So it's just looking at the numbers. I think, as human beings, as people who work with children all day long, you can get defensive about numbers. You can, have a hard time understanding numbers. So this first step is just looking at the numbers and removing those things. And trying not to get down on the dance floor is what we call it. Step 2 is simply about labeling what you see. So it's one simple step. It's just, here are the numbers. What is one word to describe what you're seeing, or one small phrase? Step 3, that's getting on the dance floor. That's where, we have pictures of Animal and other Sesame Street characters down on the dance floor. And it's about, what do you see? And what might have affected those outcomes now. Now you can start to have those conversations about things that happened, about instruction, about the makeup of the class, anything. And just look for the trends, look for the patterns, and then start to see what might have affected the outcomes. And then step 4 is the last step. It's what we do to prioritize and make actionable next steps. So what do you do with the data? And we walk through these steps with our staff. We've had one data meeting. Our next data meeting is in 2 weeks, and we'll be looking at our DIBELS data. The first meeting we looked at our MCAS data, and just surface, because we're just getting into this process. But it's already starting to produce some great conversations school-wide. A lot of our 2nd grade teachers haven't had discussions with our 4th grade teachers around what things they're doing in the classroom and how it affects students. So it's going to be a great use of our time after school. We're really excited about it. Do you want me to walk right into my SIP now? Or do
Yeah, I would just look for the broad strokes.
Sure.
I have it up on the screen if you want to look. It's
Awesome.
also in your packet.
So next up is the school improvement plan. So this is broken up into 3 categories. First is curriculum and instruction enhancement. The objective is to continuously improve and innovate curriculum and instructional methods to ensure the delivery of high-quality education. So our goal and objective, I just stated. Our first strategy talks about UDL. It's something that we're going to be continuing this year. We had a lot of PD UD around UDL last year. It's the Universal Design for Learning. We work with Novak Education on that, specifically Dr. Burke, and they'll be back for 3 days of professional development. And the through line is those instructional days after school that I talked about. So every month we have 2 meetings. One is going to be on instruction, one's going to be on data. So on the instructional days, it's a lot about how we're using UDL in the classroom to enhance this. 1.2 is continuing supporting the use of interreading. And so these are our high quality instructional materials. Interreading, Project Lead the Way, and also Bridges for our math program, which we'll get into. So that goes with that. Curriculum alignment, so continuing to monitor our district curriculum alignment. We're looking at 80% completion by June 2026. This is what we teach when on a yearly basis. So looking at how we deliver our materials based on our state frameworks and walking through that year long. So working on our maps to make sure that we know what we're teaching when. And then last is to continue to develop and integrate our ILT to support that implementation. I can't do that on my own. So we need our teacher leaders to do that. So we started our ILT program after school this year. So that way we can give a stipend to our teachers to do that work after school with me and do a great job doing that. So they'll be leading a lot of the implementation of step 1. Goal 2 is meeting the needs of all students to provide a supportive and inclusive learning environment that addresses the individual needs of all students. First strategy is to enhance our SST plan. So SST is our student support team. So teachers can nominate students that they feel like could have some outside eyes, look at how a student is performing in the classroom, and maybe develop some interventions for that student that maybe they have need some help with. So just talking about the continued use of the team, the use of district forms, and then reviewing the cycle of the process through teacher surveys. Our CAT lab is coming back, so that's creative action thinking. That will be continued use at the elementary school. We're going to develop a 2026 schedule by the beginning of November, create an observation schedule to observe and evaluate the program, and then quarterly meetings with our liaison, who is Channing LeBlanc. She is one of our special education teachers. And last is review and audit our second step program. So that is our program that deals with just our overall bullying curriculum at school, just how students are treating each other. Our PBIS team will do an analysis of our second step curriculum and give feedback on next steps. And last but not least is goal 3, fostering a culture of belonging. And the goal of this one is to cultivate a diverse, inclusive, and welcoming school culture where all stakeholders feel valued and connected. The biggest thing at our school is our PBIS program. We work on it tirelessly. We have a PBIS team, which also meets after school. We're creating, this year, our Starbucks store will have a tracker to create data. So last year was just about implementing PBIS. This year is what is the data telling us, again, with that data focus. So, handing out Starbucks for behavior is great. Now, is that behavior being affected by our program? Is it something that we can target? Is there trends or patterns that we're seeing in our PBIS program? So 3.1 talks about enhancing that programming. And then 3.2 is developing a school council and student advisory. So my dates for that are December 15th. So getting some of our parents to join school council and our 5th grade students to join a student advisory board and hold 4 meetings over the course of the school year. Whew, no speed talking. So if anyone has any questions, I can answer them. Sorry, that was a lot.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Murphy.
Of course.
I do have one question. The bacon, do you get to eat the leftover bacon?
There's usually not any leftover bacon.
It doesn't
I
make
wish.
it
I wish, but yeah, you're welcome to stop by and check it out.
Thank you for doing that.
I do have one question.
Sure.
So we're going through these now. is this available on the website or something, or is there somewhere, if someone's watching and can't quite read that at home, wants to just see it, is there a place where that lives on the website?
Sure, so the school improvement plan does live on our website, on the North Brookfield Public Schools website.
Okay.
Once, obviously presenting this tonight is finalizing this, so it should be updated on the school website.
Okay, excellent. Just wanted to make sure it's out there.
Of course.
Good question.
It's very well put together. If anyone has questions, it's like, you just kind of read through, it's got everything laid in there, so.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And at the high school, I had a brief report, some of which has been highlighted by Dante when he spoke about the trip to the Basket Makers Innovation Challenge at the Basketball Hall of Fame. I'm not sure if Noah wants to add anything related to the visit by the True Robotics group who came into the 8th grade classroom. Were you there that day?
I was there.
Yeah. And what were your thoughts on it?
I mean, it was good. They brought up a lot. They said we were one of the most advanced classes they had ever been hosted by for a middle school class because they had gone to a high school. I think it was the week before, and they didn't know much, and we were answering questions they weren't even ready to ask.
It's nice to be able to hear that feedback. That's great, John. Thanks, Noah. Ms. Earhart in the guidance department has continually been arranging for a number of post-secondary institutions, a variety of colleges, and as well as military and other organizations that are seeking to have students join their groups, and those will continue. I think Suffolk University will be here tomorrow. I know that's not on here, but I'll keep the committee and the public updated in newsletters about the opportunities that kids will have to check in with colleges, universities, and other post-secondary organizations at high school lunch over the course of the year. Science teacher Caitlin Malone has attended the Open Sci-Ed Teacher Leader Network kickoff event, and their work really focuses on putting the people who are implementing Open Sci-Ed at schools across Massachusetts into a network where they can go out and observe each other, get into the classrooms, sit and have dialogue with each other about the integration of the various units in Open Sci-Ed and how to be able to do it more effectively and more rapidly because they're not operating on their own. Having the opportunity to consult with other teachers in other schools who are dealing with similar challenges. It's the objective of the organization that teachers would hopefully be able to make those adaptations faster as they move through. And I'll talk about this a little bit in the school improvement plan, but Michael Tift, John McNeil, Caitlin Malone, and I went to Nipmuc Regional High School for the Applied Learning Kickoff event. And I'll talk about what we brought back from that because that has also been integrated into the school improvement plan. Congratulations to seniors Sarah Mosen, Sophie Dufresne, and Sophia Giangrande, who were recognized on Senior Day and for having played their last field hockey home game. And congratulations on their careers. On Wednesday, October 22nd, the 8th grade students will take a tour of Bay Path, and they will meet, Bay Path representatives will meet with the 7th and 8th grade to provide information to students about the school. There'll be information forthcoming about the plans that Mr. McNeil and other members of our school community are making for Operation Holiday Cheer, and the counselors are currently planning on conducting a whole school wellness day on November 12th, a half day. And so like Art had indicated that our school improvement plans are aligned in those 3 categories. The first one, curriculum and instruction. We did engage in, we used a version of the data analysis tool that, and protocol that Andrea had applied or had shared with us in our administrative team meeting. We took that to our next faculty meeting and we did an item analysis, and we split the faculty into STEM along with music and art, given that there's a lot of math and music and art, and the humanities met in here, and they did an item analysis from last year's MCAS. And the first thing really that they had pretty clearly identified in one of the groups is that our students, we really need to do a better job of teaching our students how to write more effectively. And given that we're such a small school, while we can have these individual approaches with our students and understanding each of our kids, we want to take the time to make sure that we're teaching writing in a coordinated manner so that students aren't having to relearn something from classroom to classroom to classroom, but that they're able to apply things as they move across the curriculum in the same school year. But there's also a purposeful sense of the increasing sophistication as students move up through the grades. And so that goal is to research, develop, and implement a grade-level standards-based approach to writing instruction in grades 6 through 12. The second goal under curriculum is to continue to integrate and enhance UDL strategies for all classrooms. This is a continuation from last year and what really is at least a 2-year endeavor. We did start off at the beginning of the year because we have a few new members of our faculty and staff reacquainting ourselves with the central tenets of universal design for learning. And then the third goal is something that I was fairly excited about coming out of this, because very often you go to professional development and it's nice. You get things, sometimes you get swag and products that you can take home that have t-shirts. I got a fancy pen. I got a little bag with a pop-up guy in it, but it was probably some of the best professional development that I have experienced in terms of giving us a protocol to help teachers reflect on their teaching practice. And so this goal is that all teachers will become familiar with the tenets of applied learning by participating in the use of the Leveling Up Authenticity Protocol. And basically, and John, given that you're here, you can correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but basically this protocol allows teachers to work with one another in small groups. And the intent is really to make an existing or new learning activity more authentic. By more authentic, more real world. In other words, they're applying more skills, that students are doing most of the work in the classroom and getting further and further away from the sort of sit and get that traditional education can be, but trying to get students better prepared and way more interested in what it is that they're going to be doing in class by activating that learning. And basically, we had engaged in the protocol, I think 3 or 4 times during the course of the day. Then we observed their actual faculty and staff bring things in with other faculty and staff. And I think on each of the groups, there was also one student who sat in and observed through the protocol. And basically, the teacher provides a really small summary of what they would like to do, sort of the objectives of the learning, and then the folks around the table, fellow educators, sort of look at these 6 categories: problems and challenges, products and outcomes, audiences, partners, clients, and tech and gear. And to make suggestions for how to make those activities that the teachers were already planning to do more active and have more applied learning involved. And so it was a great experience for us, and what ultimately we would like to do is get to the point where everybody this year has participated in a minimum of at least one of these. And by participate, I don't mean for any teachers who are here that you need to put yourself sort of, it's not a hot seat, it's a very safe protocol because it starts from building off of teachers' strengths and the strengths in general of the activity. It's something that I feel is also very likely to result in more teacher-to-teacher collaboration as people feel more comfortable with their colleagues working through these specific protocols rather than just sitting around and having conversations and sort of blindly problem solving with their colleagues. These protocols make things a little bit more pointed, and it literally takes 15 minutes to do it really effectively. In meeting the needs of all students, we're in the process of implementing second step in the new crew period. And similar to the elementary school, over the course of the year, we want to evaluate its implementation and make recommendations going forward for how, if there are things that we're missing, what can we do more effectively. And then to refine the student support team process, very similar to the elementary school as well. And then we're continuing the process of developing personalized learning plans for each student, considering their strengths, weaknesses, interests, and learning pace. And it'll be a second year of focusing on the personalized learning plans in the MyCap system and implementing that curriculum through the school. In climate and culture, fostering a culture of belonging. Goal 1 is to create opportunities for open dialogue and discussions on important social issues for middle school students led and trained by high school students. So last year, there was a group of students who were trained by Mass Ideas, and although some of those students may have graduated, there are a number of students who are still here at the school. We'd like to continue that relationship with Mass Ideas, but I have a lot of experience in having older students trained to then go out and deliver portions of curriculum or facilitate discussions with younger students, and it's very impactful because the younger kids have a tendency to really admire and look up to the older students, and those students get an opportunity also. It's another leadership opportunity that can often come from students who might not otherwise be looked at as being leaders, and help those students learn, grow, and become more active in the school community. And then implement school-wide community-centered opportunities for all students to display their learning through showcases for families in the community. And again, this came from the professional development that we had done. It was really clear that this school does there's a lot of student work around, and although some of it was left from showcases from the previous year, it's really well done. It's very appealing to look at, and it must generate a great deal of pride in students to have that stuff be shared with the school community, even beyond their families. And so, given that John has done a really nice job with the first STEM night last year that was pretty well attended, we want to kind of expand those showcases and branch out a bit more into other content areas, and hopefully do more than one during the course year this year, or during the school year. And that's it for us. Any questions?
No question, but I do like the idea of having more of those. Anytime we can increase the opportunities for people to see what the students are producing, it's great. We hear about it here, but to get the word out, and get people in the building, and see it firsthand it's great.
Yeah,
appreciate the efforts to do that.
It was really impressive, and I'm hopeful that it will also be something that, combined with more opportunities for applied learning, will also result in getting all students more excited about what's going on in the classroom. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you to the committee for allowing me the opportunity to present this evening. In my report, I wrote about our inaugural Special Education Parent Advisory Council meeting that took place on September 23rd of this year. We had a number of parents attend, and we look to set open up a new page for parental voice and leadership in special education. It is a regulation of the state, a rare regulation of the state, that you have a parent advisory council. And it's not the purpose of it. We don't have the group just to check a box or meet a regulation. We have the group so that we can provide parents with a voice, provide them with an opportunity to connect with one another about really important issues in their lives, the education of their children, and also to learn about resources and programs and methodologies that are available for their children both in and outside of school. Together at that meeting, we developed a survey that was launched and sent out to parents. We had 40 respondents to that survey, and I'll have more information for you all about that in our next report. Our most recent meeting was held on October 15th, just a short time ago, And we are scheduling a spaghetti supper for our CPAC to take place on the evening of November 19th of this year at 6 o'clock at the North Brookfield Elementary School. And we certainly hope that our school committee members will be able to join us. We are in audit preparation mode in the special education department. We will be visited by the Department of Education for an on-site visit in January, the week of January 12th of 2026. We also have an audit of our multilingual students program, or what you would probably refer to as our English learners. We are, we have to upload a number of documents and policies and procedures to the department, and faculty and staff and myself and leaders will be interviewed by the department in December of this year for that audit. I've continued our regional collaboration with special education administrators from our surrounding districts. We looked at an opportunity for regionalizing our special education transportation for our out-of-district students to see if we could find cost savings. We had a meeting that involved the directors and some of the superintendents from the area with a vendor that we were exploring potential partnership with. And we had our most recent meeting, and one of the topics that we spoke about was potential regional collaboration for CPAC and being able to bring resources together for our parents, from our surrounding districts for all of those things that I had just said. The 9 staff members in the North Brookfield Elementary School underwent training in therapeutic crisis intervention for schools. This is a research-based program that's administered by the Bronfenbrenner Center for Translational Research and the College of Human Ecology at Cornell University. It's a no-joke program that research has proven improves school safety and improves climate. It improves relationships that students have with adults and adults with students. It gives faculty and staff confidence in their ability to interact with kids in really difficult situations. And I think more importantly, data-wise, as we talk about data in our school improvement plans and how important performance is of our kids, it's proven to improve performance in school, improve attendance, and decrease incidents that lead to damaged relationships and disciplinary problems that lead to suspension from school. The course was 21 hours in duration. All of the attendees who took the course passed 2 assessments. One is a hands-on observation of their ability to teach a child new coping skills in a protocol that's called a life space interview, meaning we're not just teaching kids how to read and write, we're teaching them new behaviors to choose when they feel, when they have feelings such as frustration, anxiety, fear, anger, or what we call pain-based behaviors. All 9 members also took and passed a written assessment that's administered by Cornell University, and all 9 members of all 9 attendees are now certified in therapeutic crisis intervention for schools. This is an investment that is moving our school system towards being trauma sensitive or trauma informed, and I was really proud to have been able to work with the faculty and staff in that program. If anyone has any questions or comments or concerns, I'll be happy to take them.
Anything? Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. We learned a lot about TCIS earlier in the year. We got a good rundown of that previously. So.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. I believe it was on. Was it recorded?
No.
Oh, that's too bad.
Well, there's probably a lot of opportunities to see and hear me doing it. There are a lot of videos and stuff out there. So thank you very much.
Tim, anything you want to highlight from the other administrative reports, the technology and the?
Yeah, just real quick, I know I mentioned in my initial page of my report, which I didn't talk about tonight, but Joe Holloway has come on as the interim custodial supervisor, has really hit the ground running. So just that's Joe's report for what's been happening in the two buildings. I know that the dugouts that we have talked about are going to be taken down sometime soonish. George, right? Thursday. So George and Andrew, I think, are working on those. So those will be off-site very soon. And then as far as technology, you have Mr. Berridge's updates, mostly around his ALMA and his data reporting to the state. But also, I attached it to his report, it's under new business, but the technology surplus, which the committee can vote on, which these are some really antiquated tech pieces that we are getting, we're going to have these removed at basically no cost.
Good. All right. So, any old business?
We need to vote if we can get rid of that. Oh,
that's coming up.
Oh, that's later?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's under new business.
Yeah.
I just
He was just alluding to it. Yeah, so, any old business? Nothing? Policy updates.
So the policy subcommittee, and this should be, my apologies, this should have an asterisk because this is a voting item tonight. We met this evening at 5 and we discussed draft policy JF, which is the middle school pathway exploration policy. And I'll give you the quick overview here, but essentially what this policy discusses is giving our students equitable access and information around not only our ICP program here, but also what Bay Path offers for their incoming freshmen, or students that decide to go to Bay Path. So it articulates, it frames that we will make tours available during our school day. We will have a counselor from Bay Path come and speak to our 8th grade class. We will discuss our short and long-term college career planning during our school advisory, our crew program, using MyCap, which we mentioned a couple times this evening. And we will do most of this by October 15th every school year. So we'll get this out to families, out to students, out to teachers about those timelines. And it will be basically secured through this policy. Additionally, we just list off, yes, we talked about our ICP pathway, but Bay Path, being a vocational technical high school, offers many more pathways, if you will, many more programs. So we list the program opportunities that are afforded to our students if they are enrolled at Bay Path. Vocational technical high schools have gone away from weighted entry, or they've gone in the route of a lottery. And this is just making sure that, again, there's equitable access for exposure to what the offerings are, both within our school, but more importantly at Bay Path, if a student decides to look at that option. This will need, if this is voted in this evening, or if it's not, we can ask for extension, but at some point, this policy will need to be submitted to the CHAMP protocol, or CHAMP software to the state, and this will be adopted as a school-wide policy around pathway exploration. Every state, every district in the Commonwealth has to have this approved.
Quick question. So this is essentially the document that would go out to parents or something along.
This is the policy. There will be some memo language talking about the timeline and what's going to be offered.
With like these opportunities.
Yes. And everything that was in red has been revised, and obviously will be changed back.
So the idea behind it, then, in other words, is to, I know you said it's a state level mandate, but it's essentially to notify families of opportunities that they...
To notify families, make sure they're happening.
Yeah.
And also that, we keep records of what happened within our school. So when the tour was, how many kids went, or who came and spoke to our kids, how many kids attended.
Sounds good. So if...
This is within the student handbook.
Right.
Yes.
Is anybody opposed to voting on this tonight? If anyone wants more time, Tim said we can ask for an extension with the state, but we do have to get this in by October 15th if we don't ask for an extension.
No, it's meeting by November 1st of this year. October 15th is when we need a message to families.
I'm sorry.
Going forward.
I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting me. Personally, I'm fine with voting on this tonight. I don't know about anybody else. If they...
Same, we got it in advance, we had a chance to look.
I'd like to make a motion to approve this revised version of the middle school pathway exploration policy.
Second that. Any more discussion on this? Any questions? All right, all those in favor? All right, thank you. And new business, technology surplus.
So Mr. Barrett attached a spreadsheet with 25 plus items ranging from laptops to desktops to speakers, projectors that are all either no longer functional or not supported by Windows 11 and cannot be used on a regular basis within our school district. The recommendation is to have these tech supplies surplus and disposed of, like I said, at near minimal cost to the district. A lot of them are in his office as we speak, so we want to clear that office out. Some are in the library as well, so.
When you say near minimal cost, what is the process that you said you found recyclable waste?
Yeah, there's most everything here they'll take for free. There's a few items that, in total, we're talking under $1,000 for the recycling cost.
I feel like some of these things we should consult with Brandon Avery and see if we should donate to the town museum.
The VHS player?
The
reason to
a
dispose of it,
VHS.
because it's a VHS player.
Yeah.
I did like that.
Probably here,
The
but
reason is
Like
it's a
the
VHS player.
back then.
So I'll take a motion for disposal of these items if someone wants to make that motion.
I make a motion that we approve the disposal of all of the listed items.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion, questions?
No, I'm sure he'll be glad to get these out of his office.
Yeah, I think it does a couple things. It gets rid of things we should have, we need to get rid of, and it creates extra space that can be used. So, if there's any more discussion or questions, all those in favor? Aye.
Right.
All right, that's unanimous. All right.
I miss the days, it wasn't that long ago where you could like get paid for this stuff.
Yeah,
And somehow that's
And then it-
fallen
yeah.
completely by the wayside. It
Now
used to
they
be
charge
nice,
you.
you
Now
could
they
go,
charge
and- not anymore.
It's outdated after it's bought. All right, so, Tim, did you want to, we have the executive session tonight here, so.
Yes, so I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session so that we can discuss contract negotiations and only return to the meeting to adjourn the regular meeting.
Second that. Any discussion on that? Seeing none. All those in favor, roll call vote.
Tim Canada, aye.
Matthew Grant, aye.
Kristen Giannotti, aye.
All right, thank you
Thank you,
everyone.
everybody, for attending.
Everyone's still awake? Work?